In Bleach, a Bankai is the ultimate weapon for any Soul Reaper, a final trump card pulled out only in the most desperate fights. While these powers are insanely strong, they are not without flaws. Some Bankai come with dangerous weaknesses, leaving their users vulnerable in battle. From Byakuya's Senbonzakura to Yamamoto's Zanka no Tachi, let's break down the Bankai with the biggest drawbacks that could turn victory into defeat. Even the strongest warriors are only as good as the weapons they wield, and these Bankai have weaknesses that might just decide the battle. Byakuya's safe area can be exposed by his enemy. Byakuya's iconic Bankai surrounds his enemy with countless razor-sharp petals, striking from all angles. However, as Tsukishima revealed during the Fullbring arc, Byakuya himself stands in a safe area within his Bankai. If an opponent gets close enough to enter that zone, the Bankai becomes useless. In a battle against an agile or clever opponent, this flaw could leave Byakuya completely exposed. Even a small miscalculation could cost Byakuya his life, especially if his opponent anticipates his strategy. For someone with such pride in his abilities, this vulnerability is a glaring weakness. Risky to use with allies nearby. Kyoraku's Bankai is powerful, breaking the will and body of his enemies through 4 grim acts. However, as Ukitake mentions, it's too dangerous to use when allies are around because its effects extend to anyone within range. The Bankai creates an eerie atmosphere of despair and suffering, which impacts both allies and foes indiscriminately. When he used it against Lil Barrow, Kyoraku was gravely injured himself, showing the immense strain it puts on his body. This Bankai is a double-edged sword that makes teamwork impossible and leaves Kyoraku vulnerable if he is outnumbered. For someone who values camaraderie, this restriction is a major burden. Slow startup limits its effectiveness. Ikkaku's Bankai is visually epic, transforming his weapon into massive cleavers. But it's a slow starter. As Ikkaku explains, the power builds up only as the fight progresses, meaning he is vulnerable at the beginning of a battle. Worse still, the Bankai weakens every time it's damaged, making it less reliable over time. For someone like Ikkaku who thrives on prolonged fights, this is a crippling flaw. Against fast opponents like Ichigo or Yuriichi, the time it takes to unleash the Bankai's full potential could result in a quick defeat. This makes it an unreliable option against truly formidable enemies. Ikkaku's stubbornness about hiding his Bankai only adds to its limited practicality in battle. Immense power comes with a time limit. Yamamoto's Zanka no Tachi is one of the most destructive Bankai in existence, burning his enemies to ashes. However, its power comes with a major cost. If used for too long, Yamamoto risks destroying himself and even the entire Soul Society. During his fight with Yuhabach, the air became unbearably heavy just from activating his Bankai. Its overwhelming strength makes it a literal last resort. On top of this, the flames consume Yamamoto's energy at a terrifying rate, meaning prolonged battles could leave him entirely drained. It's the epitome of a double-edged sword, one that burns as much as it protects. For a captain of his caliber, this Bankai is as much a danger to himself as it is to his enemies. The Bankai's weakness is its sword. Tosen's Bankai plunges his opponent into a dark void, shutting off all their senses. On paper, this sounds unbeatable, but Kenpachi exposed its flaw when he grabbed Tosen's sword. The Bankai relies on the enemy losing track of the blade. If they find it, the effect disappears instantly. Against close combat fighters like Kenpachi, this Bankai can fail spectacularly, making it far less versatile in certain fights. The reliance on his enemy's confusion limits Tosen's ability to surprise more skilled fighters, and once the element of surprise is gone, his Bankai's utility plummets. Tosen's dependence on tricks makes this Bankai unreliable in straightforward battles. Damage inflicted on the Bankai affects Komamura too. Komamura's Bankai summons a giant warrior that mirrors his attacks. However, there is a huge catch. Any damage done to the giant is transferred to Komamura himself. This makes him extremely vulnerable in fights against fast or tricky opponents who can exploit this weakness. Even more concerning, his immense Bankai size can make it a target for long-range fighters. Although Komamura later upgrades his Bankai, its earlier version carried too much risk for prolonged battles. Without a strategy to minimize the damage to his Bankai, Komamura remains a high-risk combatant. Even the sheer size of his warrior can make him an easy target for opponents who specialize in speed or precision. Immense power comes at a terrible cost. Kenpachi's Bankai turns him into a mindless, Oni-like berserker with overwhelming power. The problem? He loses all control and attacks anything in sight, friend or foe. On top of that, the Bankai's raw power tears Kenpachi's body apart, leaving him unable to move after using it. During the 1,000-year Blood War, this cost nearly took him out of commission entirely. It's a weapon of pure destruction that risks harming allies and himself, making it incredibly dangerous to use recklessly. Kenpachi's greatest strength, his love for battle, becomes a weakness when his Bankai sacrifices control for chaos. This reckless strength could be his downfall in a critical moment. One mistake could cost Rukia her life. Rukia's elegant Bankai freezes everything nearby, including herself. While her enemies shatter instantly, Rukia must carefully control her movements afterward. Moving too quickly can injure her body or worse, kill her outright. This Bankai demands precision and experience, which Rukia lacks during her first use against Asnot. While powerful, it's incredibly risky and unforgiving if mishandled. Rukia's mastery of her Bankai is still a work in progress, and until she gains full control, this technique remains one of the most perilous in Bleach. A small error could spell disaster for her. Bleach has given us some of the coolest and most iconic abilities in anime, but even the strongest Bankai have flaws that make them unreliable in battle. From Byakuya's exposed safe zone to Rukia's life-threatening precision, these weaknesses remind us that even power comes with a price. Ultimately, a Bankai is only as strong as the person wielding it. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Bankai weaknesses, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which Bankai you think has the biggest flaw. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.